In this video, we are going to discuss about the theory of supply. In economics, supply refers to the quantity of a product available in the market for sale at a specified price at a given point of time. So we have three elements here: quantity for sale, and you have price and time in the definition of supply. So, unlike demand, supply refers to the willingness of a seller to sell the specified amount of a product within a particular price and time. So, supply is always defined in relation to price and time. For example, if a seller agrees to sell 500 kilograms of rice, it cannot be considered as supply of rice as the price and time factors are missing. Similarly, if a seller is ready to sell 500 kilograms of rice at a price of 30 rupees per kg, then again it would not be considered as supply as the time element is missing. Therefore, the statement should be a seller is willing to sell 500 kilograms of rice at the price of rupees 30 per kg in a week is ideal to understand the concept of supply as it relates to supply with price and time. So, the important key factor is that supply of a good to the market by one firm is said to be institutional supply, and the total of all firms is known as market supply. Now, let's talk about the determinants of supply. The first one is, of course, the price of goods concerned. It refers to the main factor that influences the supply of a product to a greater extent. There is a direct relationship between the price of a product and its supply. So, when the price of a goods concerned increases, the quantity supplied also increases, and the supply of a product also decreases when the price actually decreases. So it goes both ways. Unlike demand, not always when the price increases the quantity demand would decrease. We have seen that there are a lot of exception to it. But in price there is a direct relationship between the price of goods concerned and the quantity supplied. The second one is price of inputs. The inputs such as raw materials, labor, equipment, machines required at a time of production are termed as factors. If the factors are available in sufficient quantity and at lower price, then there would be increase in production. This would increase the supply of a product in the market. For example, availability of cheap labor and raw material nearby the manufacturing plant of an organization would help in reducing the labor and transportation costs. Consequently, production and supply of the product would increase. However, if the price of inputs were to increase, then it's going to actually reduce the supply of the quantity supplied. And what happens is that when the price of inputs or cost of production is actually increasing, then the firms would wait for the price to increase in the future and they would start supplying in the market. The third one would be technology. It refers to one of the most important determinant of supply. A better and advanced technology increases the production of a product, which results in the increase in supply of a product. So, for example, I don't want to say it as increase in technology, but better technology, better T would actually increase the quantity supplied. Prices of related goods are also important and it affects the supply of a product. For example, if a related goods price increases, then the quantity supplied for the goods concerned actually will decrease because the firms would start to produce this related good rather than what they are being producing now. And the fifth one is expectations of producers. So speculations about future prices can also affect the supply of a product. If the price of a product is about to rise in the future, the supply of the product would decrease in the present market because of the profit expected by the seller in the future. So firms would actually hold on to the production and they will expect the price to increase and increase their production. However, the fall in the price of a product in the future would increase the supply of the product in the present market. So if the expectation of producers actually for the price to increase, then the quantity supply now would actually decrease as opposed to the price of goods concerned. As we have seen, if it increases, it's going to increase the quantity supplied. The next one would be the government policies. It implies that the different policies of government, such as fiscal policy or industrial policy, has a greater impact on the supply of a product. For example, increase in tax on excise duties would decrease the supply of a product. On the other hand, if there are tax concessions or subsidies, then the supply of a product would increase. So I'll just put it as tax when it increases, the quantity supply would actually decrease. And there are some other factors as well. For example, you have natural conditions, that is, the climatic conditions that directly affect the supply of certain products, mostly agricultural products. So as you can see, the agricultural products production increases when monsoon comes on time. However, the supply of these products decreases at the time of drought. So some of the crops are climate specific, and their growth purely depends on climate conditions. So those are some other factors, and also transport conditions. So we can have in other factors as climate or weather conditions, then transportations, and so on. So transportation is actually, if you have better transport facilities, it's going to increase the supply of products. And transport is always a constraint to the supply of products and for distribution. So the products are not available on time due because of transport facilities actually hinder the production and supply also. So those are other factors. So all these factors up to here is actually the determinants of institutional supply. I'll put it as IS. And together with number of producers, then all the factors here, so I'll put it as here, all together along with number of producers would be the determinants of market supply. Because the more number of producers you have, it's going to increase the market supply. So if there is more number of producers, so you will have quantity supplied more. So if you were to write the supply function in relationship with the determinants of supply, then we can put it as quantity supply as a function of, and we can write all these abbreviations. So P, the price of goods concerned, cost of inputs, technology, price of related goods, expectations, either you can put EX or EN, then government policies, other factors. And if it's only institutional supply, then you stop at this. But if you say it's market supply, then you add N. So this is the quantity supplied function in relation to the determinants of market supply. And this concludes the video on factors determining market supply.